With the first half of October behind us, it is now time to consider a more aggressive approach. With this in mind, Mike Reed heads to a new location on his home farm.
It's Saturday, October 16th, and Ryan and I are set up down at the home farm. It's a little after 5 o'clock. We're doing a hanging hunt in a new spot. I just dipped down off this clover field that's on top of the hill here, overlooking this creek bottom. It's not a very big chunk of timber, but this is where I'm getting the most pictures of chubs. We have the confluence of multiple mowed trails that all come down and meet right down here along the creek. And I have a camera on it started out as a mock scrape. I actually ran a camera there all last year too. And this is the camera he's been on just about, every other evening at around 7:30 between those times. And my best guess is that he's bedding. I spent a lot of time bedding just in all this thick brush down along the creek. There's a couple other spots obviously he could be in, but he hits this camera so close, so quickly right after dark that I think he's just bedding somewhere in this stuff. Anyway, it's exciting to do something new and continue to learn this property. We're gonna get quiet and see how the evening unfolds.
While Mike patiently waits for chubs to appear, 190 miles to the south in Missouri, Jimmy Michael and his brother-in-law Tyler make their way to the stand. They're hoping this will be Jimmy's first taste of success with a bow in hand.
There's a lot of really good deer sign of them coming out of here, so I think if we just slip right up in this corner, I think we'll be okay.
Hey guys, it is the evening of October the 16th, and as you can tell, it is a little bit windy here. Jimmy and I are up on the permission farm, and we have one mission tonight, and that's to get Jimmy his first bow deer ever. So he has shot a deer with a rifle, but we're trying to conquer it with a bow now. So Jimmy's had the RX-4 for a couple months, and he's been dialing that thing in pretty good. It was pretty impressive the first time we went to the archery shop. He was shooting pretty well, so he's confident, and if we can get a deer inside a bow range here, we're going to turn him loose, and he's going to try for a buck. Hopefully a good buck presents a shot, but as the evening progresses, we'll probably capitalize on a doe if that's there as well. But the movement has been slow as it's been windy, and we feel like it's going to start to pick up here any minute.
Mm-hmm. Like the farthest spot's like 37.
Dude, you smoked him. Did I? You did, oh. You just smoked him, dude. Oh. He's done. Oh. He's done, dude. Oh, I cannot believe this just worked. Oh my god. Dude, I didn't have much luck. Give me some, dude. Give me some. Smoked it. Oh my god. Broke off any.
Well, as you guys can tell, the stars aligned for us this evening. Jimmy and I had a great sit, and I think Jimmy's off to a good start. First deer with the bow, and this is exactly who we came in here after. We're on the new permission ship farm, so this deer didn't have a name. We can't say we had a ton of history with him, but we knew whenever he showed up on the cutty backs that he was for sure mature. And we were sitting there tonight. It was really slow, and doing a hanging hunt, you kind of question yourself, did we push too far? Maybe bump some deer on the way in. Not a lot of activity was going on, and Jimmy looks up and he says, hey, there's an 8-pointer on the field, and I knew right away that it was him. And I apologize for the low light on the shot, but he came in the back door there and got in the timber to where Jimmy could see him well. I asked Jimmy, can you see him good? And obviously he made a great shot, hit him exactly where he needed to, and he didn't make it another probably 80 yards from the shot, but it was a great night. I think, especially for your first archery buck, I'd say, what do you think? Good?
It was quite the experience. I mean, I couldn't be happier. Thank you.
We're going to have to do this again sometime. And not very often do you get to go out on your first hunt and be sitting behind this age class of a deer, but I'm excited that I got to share this evening with you, and hopefully this ain't our last one.
As Jimmy and Tyler continue to celebrate, Mike Reed is still on stand, anticipating a glimpse of the Iowa monarch.
Yeah, I know that deer. It's a lopsided 10. I've got his sheds from last year. We're down to our last few minutes, and overall it was a fun sit. I don't love this tree. We're too exposed up here, but we had good deer movement down here. All the bucks stopped and worked this scrape right here, and I was hoping Chubbs would be next. Have a nice shot down that scrape, but the wind didn't really cooperate. I thought we'd have a pretty steady wind till after dark, but it died down to basically nothing, and then we were fighting our thermal. So I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on this area, how to hunt this best in the afternoon, but I do think it'll work fairly well in the morning with our thermals rising. This is the best conditions of the year so far tonight, so I put us in a hole, and we still had a pretty good hunt. So anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
The afternoon of the 16th finds Josh Honeycutt hunting the first cold front of the Kentucky season.
Alright, so it's kind of my first real sit of the year. I've actually been out a couple of times, but we hunted up in Ohio during the first week or so of the season. John killed a pretty good deer, one of the target bucks that we had, a nice 140-inch 10-pointer. I've only hunted up there 2 days, didn't see much, and then actually missed a deer because of a faulty crossbow, but that's neither here nor there. But I've only hunted here at home. I think this is my 3rd or 4th sit, and it's been really slow all year long. This is probably the first time I'll turn in footage because I just haven't had much to show for my sits. So I've just been waiting on good weather. This is our first actual cold front of the year. Pushed through early this morning, late last night, early this morning. And I'm hoping that, we see something tonight. We've got 3 mature bucks on camera here on the North Farm so far. It's a little below the average, but we've got a lot of acorns on the ground, and we don't invade the timber with cameras here. So I think they just haven't started really pushing out into the CRP yet. That's my hope. And if they are, maybe they just haven't hit the cameras. But kind of doing an observation set tonight. As you can see, I've got the orange on. It's a early muzzleloader season. It's a 2-day season here in Kentucky, and it's one of those things where maybe I'll see a deer that we haven't got on camera. Maybe I'll see one of the 3 mature bucks that we have had on camera. Either way, it's going to be fun.
Just freaking happened. I can't even believe that. I don't even have a clue what deer that is. He's just a big old deer. Never seen him in my life.
So here he is. This is the big Bowhunt buck. That's what he's got his name now. He's had a name for about 5 minutes. I'm not good on naming deer, but this is a buck that we've not had any pictures of this season. He, today was the first time that I had seen him. Whenever he come out across the CRP, he was bedded, I think, in a sinkhole up here just to the north of us. Looking back through old photos, this could have been an 8-pointer that we had on camera last year. That was 3.5 last year, 4.5, making 4.5 this year. Obviously, we try to shoot 4.5-year-old deer and older on this property. That's what we've done historically. But I was sitting in the sunglasses stand, saw probably 50 deer in total. But I can see a lot of ground from that stand. They were, I can see probably half the farm from there. So it's just one of those things where we had this first cold front of October. Moved in late last night, early this morning, and we've said it before, and we'll say it again. Those first cold fronts in October, they're really good at getting deer on their feet, and this deer certainly got on his feet too. But couldn't be happier, couldn't be more blessed to have an opportunity at deer like this. Give God the glory for sure. Couldn't be happier.
The first October cold front in Kentucky proves yet again to be a solid bet for Josh Honeycutt. He harvests a beautiful bluegrass buck on the CRP field. 570 miles to the northwest, Owen Riegler is also on stand, but with nearly opposite conditions. Owen's afternoon deer activity is slow, but the roaming critters keep things interesting. The following evening, with Chubb still his #1 target, Mike Reed gears up for what he hopes to be the final chapter in the story of this giant deer.
Well, it's Sunday, October 17th, and Ryan and I are set up back down at the home farm. We're back in the cherry tree tonight, coming in after Chubbs. Last night we decided to try something different. We had sat here, I think, 3 or 4 hunts in a row. In general, I feel like if I keep sitting here, this is going to be where I shoot him, but because he hadn't been here since October 8th, I made a move to the area where he's been active, which was down on the creek, and you guys saw how that played out. I mean, we had a nice hunt, but no Chubbs. And then on the way home, I got pictures sent from my cell cam right here on this plot, and Chubbs was here in daylight last night at 5:48, so I think we had 7 or 8 minutes left of legal shooting. He's working the scrape right here in front of the camera, so sort of comical. The first time I don't come sit here when we have the right wind for it, he pops up right here. He actually made a spin through the whole farm. It's probably the most active he's been, which makes sense with the conditions, but he went down where we hunted around midnight, so he's here around 6, there midnight, then he was back on another camera on a gate gap coming back into here around 1:30, I think it was. So he was moving around last night. Hopefully he's bedded just right here behind us again, and he makes an appearance before dark. The conditions are still pretty good tonight. I mean, the pressure is actually higher tonight than it was yesterday. We'll see. Fingers crossed Chubb shows up. We got probably 2.5 hours left to go.
Despite trail cam photos steering Mike toward the cherry tree, the evening proved to be anticlimactic, further proving that even the best laid plans can unfortunately result in nothing. On the afternoon of October 18th, Owen Riegler makes his move on a buck he calls Light Switch.
I'm gonna come back and put a camera on these. You're getting hit pretty good. All right, boys and girls, we're back at it October 18th. We got a pretty stiff south wind blowing about 12 to 15 right now, but it's gonna lay down toward evening like it does quite often, so it's warmed up quite a bit, but we'll see what moves. I expect to see a few deer here. There always is plenty of does in this area. This is the tree I shot picket fence out of last year, October 2nd. He walked out this trail right here. There's a well-used trail. I mean, that's like 10 feet from the tree. He walked out into this clover there, point blank shot, so nice to come back to this spot where you have a history. What we're gonna have to watch for tonight is these deer are gonna pop out with basically no notice. We can't see anywhere hardly. You know, 15, 20 yards, that's it. So they'll just pop right out on us. But the buck we're hunting's that Light Switch buck. He's like a national monument on this farm. I filmed him the first time when I bought this farm back in 2016. I filmed him. It was either 2 or 3 then. That's been 5 years ago. So he's 7.5 or 8.5 years old. But at any rate, with any luck, we'll see him tonight. That's the deer we're hoping to see anyway. Don't want to get caught moving here.
120 miles to the northeast, back in eastern Iowa, Mike Reed moves trail cameras hoping to unearth the freshest possible information on his newfound quarry. While October can often be feast or famine, a highly desirable food source can sometimes produce phenomenal action. For now, food is still king, and that is the pattern Mike will focus on in his hunt for chubs. Biologists tell us that daylight buck activity steadily increases throughout October, despite many hunters' anecdotal evidence of an October lull. With more cameras now deployed, Mike hopes to relocate the seemingly daylight active buck. While Mike waits for trail cam photos to help plan his next move, Owen Riegler sees a rapid uptick in the evening's movement.
Well, by far the best sit so far this year. And we've seen the biggest buck by quite a little ways this year. That was our dandy buck. We've got about 15 minutes left here, so still time to see Light Switch. We'll sit in here till the very end and see what happens. If nothing else comes out, we'll see you guys probably tomorrow.
He's feeling his oats. Must be the weather change. Even the truck buck is feeling it. 59 degrees today. Yesterday was like mid 70s, so another nice cold front. Wind's just switching. It went from southwest, it's west for this evening, and then it'll be northwest tomorrow. So I got a feeling, if you looked at the 10-day, it looks really good. I got a feeling some bucks are going to hit the ground here in the next few days.
Well, alright guys, nothing gets you fired up like coming in on an October evening where it's nice and cool. Scrapes the whole way in, the farm's getting just tore to pieces. We're down here in the neck of the woods where that White 8 runs. This would be his home core right here. We're kind of surrounded by corn. We got corn on this side of us, corn on this side of us, and we got some nice crossings, ditch crossings right here. We'll see what happens. Well guys, if you can believe it, the weatherman was wrong again. The wind's almost straight out of the north, maybe northwest. But it's cutting this corn off bad. I think we're gonna go ahead and get down, see if we can find another spot to go to. We'll see you back here in a little bit.
As Owen makes the adjustment, 120 miles to the northwest, Mike is heading back to the familiar cherry tree on his home farm.
Well, it's Wednesday, October 20th, and Ryan and I are back out at the home farm. We're in the cherry tree set after chubs. We are just before this front that's moving through. We're gonna have great weather this weekend. We have a southwest wind tonight. It's about 72 degrees, overcast, kind of spotty showers in the area. It actually feels pretty nice. I haven't been out for a few days. We've been getting the beans combined. And a couple days ago, when it was really hot, we came in and we moved some cameras around to try to get a better pattern on chubs. And that night, I actually got him on 4 or 5 cameras. So I got him working some scrapes on this little island, these 2 trees over here. We had him on the home camera, this tree. Had him back out in the alfalfa. So he seems like he's picking up his activity as we approach, more of this pre-rut phase, and I'm just hoping we can lay eyes on him soon. Hopefully catch up with him either tonight or with this big weather front coming in this weekend. We're gonna have great temps. The highs are gonna be in the 50s, so I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the hunt. Got about 2.5 hours to go.
Alright guys, we're back at it. We're over in the infamous walnut tree. You guys have seen me hunt here before. We got down, we moved a little over 800 yards, about 850 yards, we just calculated it. We did bump a couple deer getting in. There's one right there. At any rate, we're back in a tree and we're ready to go. I took my jacket off, but I still got pretty sweated up going that far. So now I'm hot and sweaty, miserable. Probably not in the same mood I was in to start with, if I'm being honest. But that's the way it goes sometimes. We've still got a chance. Giving ourselves a chance. Send him.
As darkness engulfs the timber, it is clear to Owen that this afternoon isn't going to produce. Meanwhile, back at the cherry tree, the deer are beginning to enter the field in front of Mike.
Big Mac. If you remember from last year, I was trying to get one of the girls on in late season. He actually grew his best rack this year. He's a really nice looking 9-point. And he actually popped up out of the bowl here under the tree that we hunted probably 5 hunts ago with a northeast wind. And he didn't really spend much time in the fruit plot. He came up to the fence and jumped the fence into the beans. And this doe actually got downwind of us, but she didn't blow. She just ran back and then he grunted and chased her. We actually found his match set just past him right there at the creek. They were probably 30, 40 yards apart. Really cool to lay eyes on him. We're down to our last 5 minutes. So I'm hoping Chubbs makes an appearance. Really good deer activity tonight. I think we saw 10 or 12 does, a couple small bucks, and then Big Mac. So nice to see a mature buck on his feet. If anything else pops out, we'll show you guys. Otherwise, I'll catch up with you guys next time around.
Jimmy and I are up on the permission farm, and we have one mission tonight, and that's to get Jimmy his first bow deer ever. So he has shot a deer with the rifle, but we're trying to conquer it with a bow now. So
I cannot believe this just worked. What just freaking happened? I can't even believe that.
We've said it before, and we'll say it again. Those first cold fronts in October, they're really good at getting deer on their feet.
I got pictures sent from the cell cam right here on this plot, and Chubbs was here in daylight last night at 5:48. So sort of comical though. First time I don't come sit here when we have the right wind for it. He pops up right here.
Oh my word! Did you see him standing there like a statue? 15 yards right here. We're going with age before beauty. That's the way it is here.
October cold fronts can bring out the best in daylight activity. This can lead to solid opportunities at virtually unpressured deer. We think carefully about our next moves. We want to be in the game, but we don't want to educate the very bucks we are hunting. When high odds days present themselves, we take advantage by making surgical, though cautious strikes. The day will soon arrive when each buck's rut-driven curiosity will outweigh his caution. That is the telling clue that we are on the doorstep of the season's best days, the days when we are chasing November.